Hey, what's up guys? It's Rick with the Digital Divide. Today we're going to be talking about the future of the MCU, specifically characters that were maybe hinted at or talked about, but haven't made their first full appearance in the MCU proper just yet. Now we know that the Phase 4 is kicking off with Black Widow, then Shang-Chi later on, and then Eternals, and the next Spider-Man movie. There's going to be another Thor and Doctor Strange movie as well. Blade is coming further down the line, as well as Fantastic Four, which is really exciting. But we know that there are a bunch of characters that I'm going to talk about here shortly that have been hinted at, or we've even seen kind of, but haven't actually made their first full appearance yet, so I'm going to do my best to predict when those characters might make their first appearance. So the first one we're going to talk about today is Adam Warlock. He was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. His first appearance was in Fantastic Four number 66 in 1967. He has superhuman strength, speed, durability, technically immortal. Now, we have seen in the end credits scene of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we got a glimpse of him here.
High Priestess, the Council is waiting.
They are perturbed I've wasted our resources. When they see what I have created here, their wrath will dissipate.
It's a new type of birthing pod, man?
That, my child, is the next step in our evolution. More powerful, more beautiful, more capable of destroying the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I shall call him Adam.
Now that pod it's kind of like a cocoon for self-preservation where he can go inside of and regenerate. He can be killed technically, but he can't truly die because death cannot claim his soul because he doesn't technically have one. So my prediction, and I think this is an obvious one, is that we'll see him in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think they set him up perfectly to be the main antagonist of that movie. So at number 2, we have Nova, and quite frankly, I am shocked that we have not seen him yet because he is a member of the intergalactic police force known as the Nova Corps, which we've seen multiple times, including in this epic fight scene at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. They were heavily involved in that movie. He derives his powers from an energy source called the Nova Force, which all Nova Corps Centurions wield, and he has super abilities, enhanced strength, flight, and resistance to injury. Now, I also think that we're going to see him in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think that Adam Warlock is going to be way too difficult for the Guardians to take on solo, so I think they're going to need Nova's help, and he's going to show up in some capacity in that movie. Now, at number 3, we have Omega Red, and he is one of my favorite villains ever. He first appeared in X-Men number 4, released in 1992. He is most known as one of Wolverine's most memorable villains. Inside of his arms, he has long, retractable, tendril-like coils made of carbonadium. It's an artificial alloy that was the former Soviet Union's attempt at creating adamantium. It's much stronger than steel, but not quite as strong as true adamantium. He has superhuman strength, speed, stamina, durability, agility, reflexes, and the ability to create pheromones from his body that are kind of like death spores. Anyone that's close by will get sick and eventually die. A lot of people thought that he was going to show up in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There was even some leaked concept art showing the actor in full gear that look way too nice to be a fake. Obviously, he didn't end up appearing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think a much more likely place for him to appear would be the Black Widow movie that is upcoming, primarily because it takes place in Russia, and that is his home country and where his origins come from, so I think it would be ideal to introduce him there, either in cameo form or even if it's just a mention. I think he will show up in some form or another in the Black Widow movie. Now, at number 4, we've got Wolverine. He is one of my favorite superheroes. Wolverine, Captain America, and Spider-Man are my 3 top-tier superheroes. Now, there are rumors going around that Chris Evans is going to return for one more movie in which we will be introduced to Wolverine, and the rumors are that this takes place when he goes back in time and decides to stay with Peggy and live out his life in an alternate timeline, during which he meets Logan for the first time. This is supposed to take place back in the 40s or 50s. Since Logan doesn't age like we do, this makes sense. As far as casting is concerned, I think Henry Cavill is rumored to play the role. He definitely has the physicality and looks the part, so I think this would be a really cool way to introduce Wolverine. So my prediction is that he's going to be introduced in an upcoming unannounced Captain America project. At number 5, we have Beta Ray Bill. He's an odd one. I don't know that we're going to see him in the MCU proper. There were some hints, specifically in Thor Ragnarok. You can clearly see his face as one of the statues on the building here. And in addition to that, in the comic books, the weapon he uses is actually called Stormbreaker, which is the same weapon that Thor makes in Infinity War. So there are some definite Easter eggs about him, but I think it's clear that Marvel has decided to adapt the Thor Goddess of Thunder storyline instead, starring Natalie Portman. And there's really no way that they could have two different versions of Thor unless they decide to introduce him much later. I think right now they're going to focus at least the next several years to Natalie Portman's rendition of the character, and we probably won't see Beta Ray Bill for a while, if at all. At number 6, we have Ghost Rider. He is one of the coolest looking MCU superheroes, I think, out there, and he's up there in my top 5 for sure. Now, there have been some really horrible Ghost Rider movies that have been made in the past, the two specifically starring Nicolas Cage, although those were not made by MCU proper, but Disney does now own the rights to make Ghost Rider movies, so hopefully they can do him justice and introduce him to a new generation. But because this left such a bad taste in people's mouths, I don't know that they're going to introduce him as Johnny Blaze. I think it's more likely they'll introduce him as Danny Ketch, which is the second version of Ghost Rider, or Robbie Reyes. But either way, I hope to see him on screen, regardless of which version they utilize. When would they introduce him? And I think that's a tricky one. I think the most likely place to introduce him is in the Blade movie, because I think the tone of that movie and the subjects that it involves would be perfect to make an introduction for a Ghost Rider character. At number 7, we have Mephisto. Mephisto is an extra-dimensional demon who rules a dimension that he calls Hell, although it is neither the Hell of the Christian religion nor the Hades ruled by Pluto, the Olympian god of the dead. Everyone, including myself, thought that he would make an appearance in WandaVision because he plays such a crucial part to her story. Wanda's children were made from pieces of him in the comic books. So I was really surprised not to see him in that show. So the big question now is, when will we see him? And that's a tough one. I think there's two ways they could do it. The most likely is probably going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. According to rumors, this is going to be a straight-up horror movie vibe, so I think that works quite well with him. The only other place I could see putting him or introducing him would be a dedicated standalone Ghost Rider movie, because in the comic books, Mephisto and Ghost Rider fight quite a bit, so I think that would be the perfect place to introduce him if they don't do it sooner. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. I just wanted to kind of have some fun here and guess when these characters will show up in the MCU. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks.